Hey, how y'all doing today? This is Nate, Chris, and Brennan. We're the Rule of Thirds. And
What's
this
going
time we
on?
are reviewing Loki Episode 1. So I started something new, something
Loki.
beautiful.
The start of something new. Man.
Could Marvel do it again with the series?
Can Marvel do it again? That's the man.
So
title of this video. Can Marvel do this again?
So I haven't said it in about 3, 4, 5 episodes. I ain't said it, and y'all know I'm good for this. I haven't said it in about 3, 4, 5 episodes. 3, 4, 5 episodes. But by no means do I want to go off on a tangent. Okay.
Yo, this is gonna be a coin phrase. I'm telling you.
But did Marvel do it again? Like,
Another
and I'm
one.
so glad. I'm so glad y'all said that. Like, is that what we're on the brink of? Like another one? Like on some old, like DJ Khaled. Another like. Is that what I mean?
The hat trick, man. The hat trick.
Not even the hat
trick. They're like, DC, watch this. Another one.
Nate, there you go. There you go. You getting me to go down that pathway. You get me all. I get all worked up. You know I get all worked up. Okay. I'm gonna try not to. Loki, episode 1. Man. We got the scene from the first Avengers movie. We got the scene from the Endgame movie. We got so many things that connected the dots. Brendan, I know you like that. I know you like that.
I love that.
You know what I mean? And it took us on a completely different direction. It took us somewhere else that we've never
been
before. Never. Like on some old like we've never been before with Marvel.
We never knew this place existed ever.
And I think both of y'all are right. This sort of underlying tone, like, did Marvel do it again? I mean, like, to go, here I go again, I'm quoting, to boldly go where no other place has gone before, Star Trek, quote me. But to do it and then, like, to do it successfully, I mean,
like, is it too early? Are we saying this? Like,
right? That's how I felt. That's a bit. See, man, I was almost. I don't want to say I was overwhelmed, and I definitely want to get you guys' reactions and thoughts with Loki because there's so much stuff to unpack with Loki, right? There's so much stuff that I think historically has made Loki a character we've wanted to see on an individual basis to say, man, what's this cast going to be like on his own show?
100%.
What's this cat going to be like without Odin, Thor? You know what I mean? Like what are we going to get? And man, the way episode 1, like we got 51 minutes, y'all. We got 51 minutes,
which was amazing. Automatically loved. You're good in my book if you give me longer than 40 minutes.
Or longer than like 35 minutes. You got 51 minutes,
right?
Like y'all know me. I'm good for trying to get up early and get a little cardio in. I was like, I got okay, it's Marvel. I got like 25, 30 minutes. I got on the list to go. I was like 51 minutes. I'm like, I'm about to be late for work because I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to get my cardio in and watch all of this. You know what I mean? So I had to cut my cardio short, take a shower. I had to finish the last like 15, 20 minutes at work. I ain't tell nobody. But man, there was so much in episode 1. Going back to the very beginning, which we saw in the first Avengers movie, we saw in Endgame, where the crew essentially travels back in time. We saw where Loki picks up the Tesseract.
Yes.
We see where he ends up. And what was crazy to me, and again, I want y'all to, jump in at any time. This is not the Loki from Thor Ragnarok.
Nope.
This is not the Loki from the beginning of Infinity War. This is that Loki who still thinks he's that dude.
Right. He's fresh off of
who deserves everything he's supposed to get. This is that dude. And I love the fact that they go back to that where it's just like, the fact, I'm burdened with glorious purpose. Like,
I know.
I
love that. I know, me too.
If you go back to like the first Avengers, like, when he's standing there and he's talking in front of the people with his staff, he's like, Neil!
Yeah.
And he starts talking. I loved that Loki.
I know, me too.
Oh my God, I love that Loki. Just that sort of almost Hitler-esque.
Like, I'm a god.
Right. I'm a god and you're beneath me. Period. End of discussion. Period. I love that Loki. Does an ant have a quarrel with a boot, Loki? Okay.
Right.
I love that Loki from the first Avengers. So to get him back was refreshing. Was definitely refreshing.
100%. I'm with you there.
To get that dude back, and here's where I really want to go with it. And I don't know. I'm not going to end there, but man, we've talked about Elizabeth Olsen. We've talked about Paul Bettany,
Tom Hiddleston.
WandaVision. We've talked about Anthony Mackie. We've talked about Sebastian Stan. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Tom Hiddleston, that dude is a beast. Like, I'm sorry.
S-tier actor, baby.
Man. He's
there's A plus, and then there's an S tier. He's an S tier actor. He's them top notch.
I go back to like Comic-Con. It was like 2006. It was like 2015 or 2000, whatever, when like Tom Hiddleston showed up at Comic-Con as Loki, and like had the whole crowd like just like. YouTube. If you've never seen it, YouTube. It's one of the dopest things we've ever seen. It was literally after. I think it was after the first Thor. It was before Avengers. So it might have been Comic-Con 2012, right? And again, yes, I'm going on a tangent. Sorry. Okay.
Chris.
Tom Hiddleston comes out as Loki, and like just the way he like controls the crowd and the way he gives his little Loki-esque speech, and it's funny, it's comical, like just the way he delivers. Forgive me, his delivery. It's almost unmatched in the Marvel universe.
I agree.
Like, is as good of an actor as he is. Like Robert Downey Jr. is a dope ass actor. We know that. We know this. Benedict Cumberbatch is a dope ass actor. We know this. For me, third is Tom Hiddleston. Like, he's that good of an actor.
I'm with you there.
The scenes we've seen him play as Loki, even on film, and I go back to that Comic-Con scene, it gives me goosebumps talking about it. You know what I mean? We've seen him in Ragnarok. We've seen him in Avengers. We've seen him, and just like the emotion he plays, and we get a lot of that in this first episode of Loki. We get a lot of that. And that, if there was one thing I gravitated to, was just like, this dude is on another level. This dude's on another level. This dude is on another level. This dude is on some other shit. Excuse my expression.
Otherworldly.
But let's just go ahead and dive into the episode. We see Loki. He grabs the Tesseract in Endgame. We're trying to figure out where he goes. We find out that they're doing a Loki series, right?
Right.
We find out that essentially it's going to be based on a variant of Loki, not the Loki we see who dies in Infinity War. Infinity War, right?
Right.
So you see him right from the cusp. I mean, there's he ends up in the desert, almost very Tony Stark.
Mongolian.
But he ends up like in the middle of the desert in the sand, very very Tony Stark-esque from like episode 1 of Iron Man.
It reminded me so much of that. I'm glad.
But it was like
that.
I think it was in the past though. Like I don't think it was in present day.
I think it was in the past too. You're right. I think it was in the past.
It definitely reminded me of that crash, like first Iron Man Mark 1 suit.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. And that's where I get lost in these tangents where it's just like, man, Marvel knows what they're doing.
They know exactly what they're doing.
They know what they're doing, And
I love it.
So you see,
they never let it slip.
So you see the people show up and they're like, okay, hey, blah, blah. And he goes into this, I'm Loki of Asgard, I'm burdened with glorious purpose. And he goes into the whole speech and just like, we don't really give a damn.
Right.
So
we don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, so what? Okay. You see the people from the time various authorities show up.
TVA.
And Nate, this is one conversation I want to have with you and even Brennan. Like, man, I mean, the fact that they created this whole other, you see what I'm doing with my hands? This whole other entity, this time variance authority that exists during everything else.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Marvel just said, "Hey, we're going to make this. We're going to make this."
But here's the thing,
and all the rules that apply outside of this don't apply to the rules inside of this.
Right. I can see from this though how, cause right now, according to this thing right here, there's no multiverse. There's only one singular timeline that they watch over.
There's one singular, but at the same time, like you can see.
Yeah, I can see how this.
Man,
I can see how this becomes. Because look,
we might be jumping so forward ahead of time. And Nate, I agree with you. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I can see the same thing you're seeing. Mm-hmm. Where like, man, like
we know where this is going.
Thank you, Brennan. Thank you. Like when they had that whole little. I mean, let me just fast forward. They pick up Loki. They pretty much interrogate him. This motherfucker was talking about. He was like, "Oh, well, this is Asgardian leather." They were like, "We don't really give a damn." They strip him naked. Are you a robot? Are you a robot? We need you to sign on everything you've ever said.
That part was actually really funny. The robot part. He was like, "Well, how would I know if I was a robot?" He was like, "Well, you'll melt if you're." He's like, "Well, if I was a robot and didn't know it, like." He's like, "Wait."
Like, he was going through such a tough day that he's just like, "Bro, like, what is going on?" Like,
am I a robot? He's like, "Wait, I wouldn't know."
He even said that, Brittany. He goes, "Man, it's been a long day," and then you got to realize this is the same Loki who got like dragged through the concrete by the Hulk and defeated by the. And he's like, "Man, this has been such a long day." And it was crazy because he says that, and you're like, "Oh, this is that Loki."
Mm-hmm.
You have to go back and you're like, "Okay, this is that Loki. Yeah, this is that Loki who got ramshackled by the Hulk
and we just left looking
by the Avengers." And so yeah, you see him go through this sort of interrogation process, and you see him trying to, use his wit and his sort of, you don't know who you dealing with, excuse my language, you don't know who you fucking with, sort of attitude. It's just like, yeah, none of that works here.
But they're more like, no, actually, we know exactly who the fuck we're dealing with. Exactly, actually.
Right. True.
We know exactly who you are. We know.
Yeah, we actually know exactly who the fuck you are. Down to the T. We know exactly who the fuck you are.
I can't think of his name. Owen Wilson's character, man. I thought he was
Owen Wilson,
brilliant. I thought he was brilliant. I'm gonna be honest. Owen Wilson has done a lot of things. He's done a lot. He did Night at the Museum, like 1, 2, and 3. Right. He did a couple other films. This episode 1 might have been the best thing Owen Wilson's ever done. Period.
I was just like, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Just the meme over and over again. I just seen the Owen Wilson meme every time. I was just like, wow.
The scene where he was just like, he said to Loki, he goes, "No, well we actually go after real threats. You're just a pussycat." I was like, oh, time out. Time out.
Yeah, I
Time out.
remember that.
Time out. Man, it was great. It was great. Owen Wilson with the little kid, and I know we're jumping around. You know what I mean? Hey, we're gonna get you out of here, but where'd you get this bubble gum from? Hey, man, Owen Wilson, man, this might have been the best thing I've ever seen Owen Wilson do. Period. Okay.
No, he was fantastic in this first episode.
So, but I mean, for me, the sort of you're taking Loki at his highest form as we've seen him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love the title of the episode. And by no means am I trying to sum it all up right now, because I think there's so much to be talked about.
Mm.
The way they titled it, "Burdened with Glorious Purpose," like the way this dude came in from Avengers, like, yo, like you were supposed to be that dude. You're supposed to be king of Asgard, king of Midgard. You had Thanos' little army,
Sorry.
thank you. The Chitauri. Like you had the scepter. Like you had everything was supposed to work out for you, and it didn't.
It didn't. And on top of that,
and you ended up getting dragged through the living room by the Hulk,
right?
And you lost. Like so I can imagine what your attitude. And I'm glad we got that Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Like the scene where he's like talking to Owen Wilson's character, and he's just like, man, y'all are all just a footnote. Y'all are all just a speed bump in my ascent to glory. Like y'all, like y'all don't, you don't understand. And Owen Wilson was just like, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. There's a scene I want to talk about more so than others, and I want to get your thoughts on it. And again, this is not my episode. I want to hear what y'all got to think. First and foremost, what were your initial thoughts on Loki?
So,
tell me what y'all thoughts.
I absolutely, positively love this episode 100%. Like, goddamn, Marvel shit. How? Then I remember,
like,
y'all have like 10 years of groundwork that y'all typically build upon and use. So like it makes sense. Like when you do that and you have all this material that you can pull from and use. It's great. It's super cool. Yeah, I loved it. And there were a lot of, like I said, this first episode actually had a lot of hints at stuff. Like this to come. Kind of a little skipping ahead. There's one particular scene where Loki sees the little thing and is talking about the timekeepers. And and they have the little voice talking about the stuff. And in that and then that little digital voice, one of the first things, and I don't know if anyone else peeped this, they were like, yeah, at the time there was a multiverse of madness.
Yes, yeah.
Before the timekeepers came in.
All these different timelines. Yeah.
And
there was a multiverse. I think, Nathan, what you're talking about, there was a multiversal war. Is what they were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. But they particularly actually said that doing the verse, it was like they when she was talking about she was like there was a multiverse of madness with the multiversal war going on and all these realities fighting against each other, so on and so forth, until the timekeepers came out and essentially straightened it out and kept one singular timeline happening.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, and this isn't obviously like we obviously know there's a multiverse of madness movie coming. Obviously been announced 50,000 times.
Right. This movie, man.
This movie literally kind of gives a hint at how this could potentially happen.
100%.
We're going to talk obviously more about the episode, and I want to dive deeper into the episode, but kind of explain some more points here that I got going into this and how just some early theories, first impressions about how I kind of think this is going to lead into going into things. But yeah, Brennan, give me your impressions, man. What do you think?
Freaking Marvel, man. Like, yo.
Like, imagine using multiple characters, yo.
How can you be this good? Like, and it's crazy because, like, we always rag on other companies and things, but like, yo, like, this isn't freaking Iron Man. This isn't Hulk. This isn't Thor.
Like, imagine using multiple
like, this
characters.
is freaking Loki. Like, which is a fan favorite amongst I don't feel like it's as much as the higher characters. Yet this is already something that like you are just intrigued by this. Yo, let me tell you something, guys. At the barbershop, right? And I have like the barbershop like, hey, yo, you see that WandaVision series? Like, yo, like this stuff's fire. You see that Falcon Winter Soldier? Like, yo, like they like, and they don't watch like Marvel movies all like that, but they're like, yo, like these series are fire. And I'm just like, yo.
You're
like
not
Marvel
wrong.
with their side characters are doing their thing first and foremost. But yes, like diving into the series, the first episode here, Chris, like you said, I love when they tie things together. I love that they pick up, bam. First thing they pick up with is clip from technically First Avengers / Endgame. They even have like the moment where like Loki transformed into like Captain America and like said like he was like mimicking, like they had the exact scene, pitch perfect. And you get to see just like that is that Loki from like that day when he like raided New York City. Like this is the Loki that we're focusing on.
Sure.
And we get introduced to the TVA, and like it's just crazy. Like we didn't know a single thing about them, like that they ever even existed.
They had the perfect explanation for it. He was like, "Why I never heard of you? Because y'all didn't need to."
They're like, you didn't exactly, and they're like, you didn't need to know of us. Like you didn't need to know that we were here until
in the
today.
right timeline. You still don't know of us.
See. Okay.
It's like after all these decades of movies, they introduce something new and they introduce it in the coolest way.
Thank you.
In the coolest way ever.
This is why. Here I go again, and y'all can fast forward this part. Y'all can fast forward this part if you want. This is why. This is why a lot of people right now are throwing shade on the Eternals, and I believe the Eternals are going to come and go with the same sort of like explanation, where it's just like, yeah, it was this, and you just move forward with it. Like you didn't hear about the Time Variance Authority because you never needed to. Yeah, I didn't have people, and I know I'm going in the wrong direction with this, but I didn't have people ask me, well, how come the Eternals didn't do? My answer is I don't know. Marvel's answer might be something so simple, and you just be like, okay,
that's just right. And the thing is with that, it's just like. It's so crazy because like that, like I know they're gonna dive into that. Like they even made like the trailer. They made so many jokes about it. They're like, "Where have they been? Where have they been?" Like even like the song, like in the trailer, it talked about like where have they been this whole time. Like it's gonna be talked about as like a big topic. I feel like in the Eternals movie, but like the TVA is just like Marvel didn't know they were gonna do this series, but like they somehow still integrate them as like, hey, there was never a moment we even need to have the TVA here, and we're just gonna introduce them and it's fine.
I mean, it was crazy because you have Loki. He's essentially at the magistrate's court, okay. And all the girls like, and he's like, well, if you want to arrest anybody, it's Tony Stark and Captain America because they clearly time travel.
My gosh! And that scene.
And she said to them, and she said to Loki, well, because that's what they were supposed to do.
That's what they were supposed.
That was part of the timeline,
right? That. Which makes you.
Which for me, I was like I had to rewind that part. I was like, time out.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Out. Like time out.
Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second.
Like they were supposed to time travel, but that was part of the time. I mean, you had that whole scene with the Ancient One and Bruce Banner talking about different lines of time and what veers off. All of that was supposed to happen. All that was part of the timeline.
All that was part of the timeline. Like what? Like you're going back in time, potentially affecting time, but they're overlooking that. Like no, that's actually the constant flow.
They're looking farther ahead of that.
Right. Like the fact that they summed that up, like
crazy.
That
I know
exactly what you said. The fact that they're going back in time using the quantum realm to go back in time.
Yeah.
But that's part of the natural timeline.
That's part of the natural timeline. I was just like,
what?
Like, what was the
you can only do that. Damn it! You can only do that when you establish a base,
right,
and a following with consumers and fans. You can only do that. That's the only way you can do that.
When you have 10 years of like story and stuff to make it make
when
sense.
Owen Wilson said, "Oh well, yeah, you never heard of us because you never needed us," I was just like, "What?"
Right. And
I'm
you think about it. You think about it, and you're like, it's not like it's the Eternals where like there's a big bad. Like Thanos destroying the. That's nothing to do with the timeline.
They don't care about that.
They don't care about that. Like
they're above that. Like the snap didn't even affect them.
It's not the Eternals who could like actually fight back in that situation. Like they're the time. They're like the time like realm of things. Like they're looking at that. They're like, hey, that's part of the timeline. Like if he's gonna destroy the place, he's gonna destroy the place. Like we're not gonna just stop it from doing that. Like that's part of the time.
That's
like
how it's supposed
and like
to
you
be.
really
That's
think
how
about it. You're like, you really think about that. You're like, they really didn't ever need them. They never really ever needed to show up. And then the fact that you're like, wait, but like all the time traveling, they're like, no, we let that happen. Like
that's how
it wasn't even the fact that they let it happen. That was part of the timeline.
That was a part of the timeline. Yeah, that needed to happen. But you weren't supposed to happen. Though.
You were not supposed to touch the Tesseract after that. That's when you became a variant.
There's a scene in episode 1 where I literally damn near broke down, and I don't mean like emotional, like crying, but I was just like, I was literally like, stop everything. Stop. I was like, stop everything. Like I need Kevin Feige to show up. I need everybody. I stop. But just time out. Okay. And I'm not gonna get to it yet. So there's some foreshadowing here. But what I'm really trying to get at is Tom Hiddleston as an actor.
I think I know what you're talking about. I know what scene you're talking about because I love this scene.
I'm talking about. Tom Hiddleston is an actor. You know, I've seen Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I watched if you guys ever get the chance to watch, it was on Amazon for a year or two, The Night Watchman. Tom Hiddleston is a phenomenal actor. When he gets in those moments where his chest sticks out and he starts talking about glorious purpose, and you're a footnote in this, and you're just a detour, and all this and you get that back and forth between him and Owen Wilson, like, well, did you like hurting people? You know, there's, and then you start to see like Owen Wilson showing him like, yo, like this is your path. Like I know you were set on being a god and set on being ruler of Asgard and Midgard.
But that was never your purpose.
This was never your purpose. Like
you were never
going
to get that.
And he said it real delicate. He said your purpose was to serve others, to bring out the best in them, which was the Avengers. Like that was like I was just like, oh God. When I put my hand on my face, I was just like, "Oh, wow!"
But since he said you were forever supposed to be the loser, yo. Like, but it wasn't.
You're right. You're forever supposed to be the loser to bring out the best in everyone else.
And the fact that he got to see himself lose was
Brennan, hold on. Brennan, hold on. I'm gonna call you out on this. He got to see a lot more than that.
Yeah,
more than that. Yeah.
He got to see a lot more than that. And I was wondering with this, I was like, man, are they going to do this? That's why like episode 1, I was just like, wow, they went there with episode 1. Like they showed him what his fate was. And Owen Wilson was just like, he was like, so you realize you went from being the ruler of Midgard to being arrested and like captive in a prison in Asgard. And then you killed your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And he just went down this whole. He was just like,
he's just like, no, I wouldn't do that. What are you talking about?
He was like,
yeah,
no.
You did.
Yeah. He was just like, so you want to be the ruler of space? He was like, wow, space is a big place. he just dumbed everything down to the point when like
you want to rule for what? Like, why would you want to do that.
When Loki, man, the moment when Loki realized he saw his eventual demise, and he realized, he was just like, man, like
I'm on a wheel essentially. Like
I've been going about it all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the one thing. As much as I liked it, I was like, man, like, okay, so there's definitely something else in this series that's more poignant and pertinent for him to realize it in episode 1. Because I was thinking, like, oh man, it's going to take a couple episodes for him to realize that the error of his ways. But the fact that he realized it, when he said that, and he goes, it's the what did he say? It's the come on now, help me out. He
when
said
he was
it's
talking
the
about the Tesseract and stuff like that aren't even working.
yeah, but he there's a term, there's a phrase he says. He said,
where he said it's the illusion of freedom is the illusion of choice and stuff like that.
He starts talking about the illusion of everything.
Like fear is the illusion of a weak, essentially of a weak spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's what he starts talking about. And I'm just like, man.
I know. When he asked me why I hurt people, he was like, I don't like to hurt people. He said, but essentially, fear is like, I've had to. He said, fear is the illusion of a weak spirit. Like, essentially, like, I needed people to fear me so that they could listen to me. Otherwise, like, I don't have, like, I'm not.
Like, I don't feel strong otherwise, unless, like, I can, like, rule people and hurt people like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. And that was so powerful. I know exactly what part you're talking about.
Yeah, because
you really just, like, man, it was a powerful moment.
Yeah.
That
Wilson's whole thing was essentially he said, I need to break down. I need to know who Loki is. Like, I don't need you to be like, I don't need you to act here, bro. I just need you who are you? Like,
like, can I trust you or not? Like do you need to be reset or
like,
what?
I'm going to I'm literally about to need you to capture who is someone dangerous. Who ended up being was actually funny to me anyway. He said, but yeah, I need you to capture someone who is dangerous, who's killing my men, like another variant, like. But I need you to know, like, I need you to know, one, who you are. First and foremost, like, you need to get out of this grand delusion, like, that you were promised that you were supposed to be something you weren't. You never were. Like, that's never who you were supposed to be.
Like, he said it in, like, the nicest way possible.
He did, like, he did, like, he was very Owen Wilson about it. He like, essentially, like, he did it in the nicest way possible to tell him, like, bro, like, look, this dream you got, bro, like, literally was never going to happen. Like, and not because
he's like, I'm gonna leave this video on and I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, you were essentially always destined to lose, and everything, all your efforts, all they ended up doing was bringing out the best in everyone else, opposing you.
Even your death was essentially just to bring, like, you dying was to help bring out the best in Thor, literally, like,
true,
like even your death.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you almost like, you almost had like moments when he was like looking at his past where like he almost saw like he definitely didn't want to do any of those things.
Yeah,
you know?
like you see, like
his mom died, there's no way I did it. And he saw like the moment with like his dad. He started with Odin, like he was really sad, and then they started the moment with like Thor when Thor was saying that long speech. He just seemed like kind of happy, like he always wanted those things, but he just always felt like insecure about himself.
Loki is essentially,
he had to do these things.
This put Loki in the perspective of, like, Loki has done terrible things, but Loki was never necessarily a bad person, like at any point in time, essentially.
I mean, we go back to Thor number 1, and the fact that he was essentially lied to, that he was not, Odin's son. He was essentially taken as the Laffy's son, the Frost Giant's son, and was raised, and then was later found out, and that Tom Hiddleston's acting and portrayal in Thor 1 was phenomenal.
And it wasn't even that he was taken. Your father abandoned you, like your original father literally abandoned you, like because you were small.
Right. But it was done to end the war, though.
Yeah,
if you remember that, it was done to end the war. It was like, hey, you go ahead and take him to end this war, and raise him, yourself. And then when Laffy tried to come back, it was just like, oh, and then you see Loki essentially play the trick on him. But I mean, that was always Loki's thing. It was just like he never trusted anybody, even like Thor. Like you saw so many dynamics with him and Thor, from a playful, kiddish kind of thing to like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, but not really because you're my brother. You know what I mean? Like you saw all these playful things, but I think to essentially really strip away from what we saw as essentially the most powerful egotistical Loki from Avengers, who stood up to the Hulk. God damn it, I'm a god. You were all beneath me and gets dragged all across Tony Stark's dining room. You know what I mean? Like you see that Loki, that ego now shifted to somewhere else and having all that stripped away. And he's talking about that, that essentially that cruel and practical trick of like, hey, how the weak make, other people feel smaller, what I mean, by forcing power and threatening them, and I'm going to take this away from
in order to feel bigger.
Yeah, and for the bigger, and and the fact that and that was the crazy thing about episode 1. I was not expecting to get that. I wasn't.
Me either.
If there was an expectation for me, it was like, man, like, they stripped away this dude cold.
Literally,
in episode 1.
Literally, and they just stripped him down and said, like, you are nothing. And like even like all the scenes where like, you had the Infinity Stone scene, and
like where they have a drawer full of them. We them as paperweights. Like they were like, they're
really realized, like, compared to these people, I'm nothing.
That scene right there left me scratching my head. I was just like, time out. I ended up saying the same thing Loki was saying. He was just like, is this the most powerful place in the universe? And I was just like, yo, where are we? Because if you're telling me there's a drawer full of Infinity Stones?
Well, Infinity Stones don't work outside their universe.
And he was just like, they don't work? I was just like, yo, where are we? And that to me set up the power, the infrastructure, the sort of dramatic, unfolding, folding, manipulating, construction, whatever. Because if in one scene you dumb down the Infinity Stones, but you're setting up the multiverse, my mind was like,
all these things, all this whole phase is about and stuff like that. Yeah, useless in comparison.
Because you just took 10 years of Marvel, you put that shit in the drawer.
Literally, like, then closed it. Like, look, these are done,
Infinity Stones. They literally told you guys, you're like, this is gone. Like, this is what this is now.
if you're doing that, and
that is crazy.
And so, not to sum everything up, if y'all got something else to say, but I'm gonna leave it at this. What y'all just said about 35 minutes ago. Did Marvel just do it again?
Yeah, I think they did.
Because if you just took that whole 10 and a half year saga with the and you put that in the drawer, and you're like, yeah, we're about to do something way crazier than that.
Right.
Welcome to the multiverse.
They said
we're moving on.
The scene where Loki stands up and he's like looking at the thing, he's just like, is this the most powerful force in the universe? I mean, come on now. Like that's Thanos. That's the Infinity Gauntlet. That's so like
they're so far above a Thanos or anything like that. Like
I mean, my question is, what affects this time variant authority? Like there has to be something There was a scene where Owen Wilson, where Loki's talking about, oh, this is a nightmare, and Loki's and Owen Wilson's like, oh, that's a different department.
Yeah.
So like, is there that? Is there, are we going into?
I'm guessing there's going to be the time variant. I'm guessing there's a nightmare zone with dreams and stuff like a nightmare. I'm guessing he's a whole separate thing because that's not controlled by time.
If my gut is telling me what it's telling me, this sort of multiverse stuff that's about to come next.
That was a whole. I forgot all about that. That was another little spoiler hint about.
Yeah.
Other stuff. He's like, yeah, this is a nightmare.
Oh,
like, no, that's another.
He goes, no,
oh, no, that's another. Yeah. That's another. That's they're somewhere else. They're around too though. Right. We don't deal with them. That's not this department. Like we deal with time.